Formula 1 returns to Japan, and with Williams expecting to win the championship within the next 3 races, they now turn their attentions firmly to their 2017 challenger. Ferrari expected to use the last 2 races at Mexico and Brazil as test sessions to test out some new aero packages they're planning to use on their 2017 challenger, and Red Bull and Mercedes are expected to try something similar as well. Contact between Daniel Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz early in practice 3 would land the Australian with a 10-place grid penalty for the race, and leave Carlos Sainz potentially needing a new gearbox as well. Honda finally bring their final upgrade package of the season, as McLaren still search for their first victory since Brazil 2012, and are hoping that with some more power behind him, Rio Haryanto will be the one to deliver that result. Taking a look at the qualifying grid for the Japanese Grand Prix, then Valtteri Bottas to take a very surprise pole position, with Rio Haryanto lining up a very impressive second for McLaren. Haryanto's teammate Will Stevens will start from 3rd, albeit almost half a second slower than his teammate, with Daniel Kvyat starting only in 4th as the lead Red Bull. Sebastian Vettel starts from 5th as the lead Ferrari, with Max Verstappen in 6th for Toro Rosso. Jean Verne could only manage 7th on the grid, with championship leader Josh Chiro starting as the lead Williams only all the way down in P8, almost 9/10 off the pole time. Lewis Hamilton start from 9th in the second of the Ferraris, and Romain Grosjean rounds off the top 10 for Haas. Nico Hülkenberg will start from 11th in the Renault, with Alex Rossi in 12th in the second of the Haas's. Sebastian Buemi could only manage 13th on the grid, with Daniel Ricciardo starting from 14th where he qualified. However, he will take that 10-place grid penalty and drop to last. Carlos Sainz qualified in 15th, just behind, with Esteban Ocon in 16th in the Force India. Fernando Alonso once again get knocked out in Q1 for the 2nd race in a row, starting from 17th, and then come the 2 Saubers of Adrian Sutil and Marcus Ericsson. Pascal Wehrlein starts from 20th as the lead manner, with Sergio Perez in 21st, and rounding off the back of the grid will be Lawrence Stroll. Hey guys, Taro here. Welcome back to UniONE. This time round 16 for Season 3, the Japanese Grand Prix. If you did miss the race last time out of Malaysia, do go and check that one out before watching this race. Crazy race there. Especially getting personal between me and Buemi. But now looking to this race, can Valtteri Bottas do anything from pole position we've seen so far this season? He's good over 1 lap, but when it comes to race pace, he just seems to drop back little by little every lap. And what about the 2 McLaren starting from 2nd and 3rd? We've seen Rio Haryanto came close to victory in Germany, albeit in a much inferior McLaren Honda to what they look to have now. So can Will Stevens or Rio Haryanto take McLaren's first victory since Brazil 2012? Also, what can Daniel Kvyat do starting from P4 just behind the 2 McLarens and Valtteri Bottas? Of course, he wants to keep his slim championship hopes alive. He really needs to beat me and Buemi in this race and probably even win the race as well. Now looking into us, we're starting in P8, starting on medium tyres. Along there with Nick Van Hamilton behind us starting on softs. Of course, it was a wet qualifying session, so you can start on whatever tyres we want. And Williams has decided that would be best if we go longer in the first stint. I'm not even going to use the soft tyres if the race plays out as we're going to. We're in 2 sets of mediums and finishing on a set of the hard tyres. Now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the Japanese Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. We get a pretty terrible start there. Johnny Vegas, a great start there. We're going past Max Verstappen. That's going to be a drag race down into turn 1. Valtteri Bottas looks to be clear now in P1. Now coming down to him, we're going to keep it side by side with Max Verstappen. Verstappen just shoved us off the track there. Keep in front of us now. We've got to worry about dealing with Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault. Now going side by side with the German now coming up into the S section. And it's like Hülkenberg's going to have it on the inside line. Now we're going to try hard it right around the outside. Now we just keep the nose in there around the outside. So close to making contact there with Nico Hülkenberg. Now keep it side by side with the German now coming up through the S section. Hülkenberg's on the racing line, and it's like you've got up the inside, has he? Hülkenberg finally moves ahead of us there. Hülkenberg also on the soft. Hülkenberg just drives right round our outside. Now we should worry about defending from Lewis Hamilton behind. He's also on a set of soft tyres. Now we've got Alex Rossi and Romain Grosjean going side by side now, just behind us. Now it's like Rossi's going to get it up the inside there of Romain Grosjean. So it's not something we've seen too much this season. Alex Rossi trying to overtake Romain Grosjean. But fair play to him, he's got the pace, made his way past his teammates. Now we're currently in P9 now, trying to chase down Nico Hülkenberg once again for P8. I mean, Hülkenberg really has been outperforming what that Renault is capable of this season. Unfortunately, he's just been really outshadowed by Daniel Ricciardo taking victory at Singapore 2 races ago. I mean, Ricciardo really hasn't really done much to impress in the Renault so far this season, apart from that race victory. So, despite Hülkenberg's hard work, it's been completely overshadowed by Ricciardo's race victory. Now coming up the straight now into 130, this should be able to easily breeze past the Renault. Nico Hulkenberg now going to go right around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg. Now coming up to 130, we need to get to 130. We've cleared him with pure straight line speed on the Renault. Now coming down into the final chicane, now Hulkenberg surely has to worry about defending now from Lewis Hamilton. Of course, both Hamilton and Nico Hulkenberg starting on the set of soft tyres. That's just going to be down to the cars now to his highest position. Of course, we know that Ferrari is still down in straight line speed. We've still got a load more straight line speed than the Renault. Now coming down into turn 1. Is Hamilton gaining up in the position in the back of Hulkenberg? Hulkenberg starts switching in the back of now. Hamilton's going to pull to the inside of Nico Hulkenberg coming down into turn 1. Is he close to make a move up the inside? Let's be a bit of contact there between the two. But Hamilton does make his way up the inside there of Nico Hulkenberg. And once again, Hamilton can say about chasing us down, whilst we still to chase down Max Verstappen in the Toro Rosso. I mean, the Toro Rossos do look to have been steadily improving in the past few races, albeit a few bad strategy calls have cost them what could be some very good points hauls. But Verstappen mainly has been putting in some great qualifying sessions, really getting that Toro Rosso up to where it should be. Now if you go purple there through the first sector, which is no surprise as it's only lap 2 and everyone's going purple there through the first sector. But now it's coming up onto the hairpin now. How close are we to Max Verstappen? Close to make a move up the inside, coming into the hairpin. Now she put a wheel there on the grass. Lucky to keep it under control there, not to go skating into the back there of Max Verstappen. Because now see, coming out of the traction zones once again, we just get no traction out of the low speed corners whatsoever. Which I've been something we've been struggling there with all season. It just seems to be something that we just can't do so far as this season in this Williams. Now take a wide line there into Spoon, try to get on the power quicker, try and get more straight line speed on the Toro Rosso and Max Verstappen. Of course, we do have his straight line speed advantage over everyone. Is going to pull to the inside now of Max Verstappen. It's like Lewis Hamilton's going to come with us as well. Going to be tag teaming there on the Dutchman now. Hamilton makes his way up the inside into 130R on Max Verstappen as well. So now Verstappen loses 2 positions there in one straight to both ourselves and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, Ferrari must have some engine mapping or something for Hamilton to be going this fast in a straight line, because now that Ferrari is still down straight line speed. And now we've got Daniel Kvyat going for the lead of the inside there. Valtteri Bottas now coming down his turn 1. Has Kvyat made the move stick up the inside? Bottas going to try and fight it back now up the inside. Now try and retake. He forces Kvyat off the track there, but Kvyat keeps his foot in there, keeps it side by side with Valtteri Bottas. Now it's going to be side by side now all the way through the S-section, reminiscent to what happened to me and Valtteri Bottas last season. Trying to keep it side by side. Now Kvyat managed to buzz his way to the inside, but Bottas gets a terrible exit there through the S-section. Now he already loses a load of time there to the back of Daniel Kvyat. Now Kvyat moves up into the lead of the Grand Prix, and Bottas moved down to P2. Now we're under heavy pressure from both the McLarens behind. Now we try and chase down Sebastian Vettel for what will be P6 in this race. So Vettel there also starting on a set of medium tyres. And as I was saying, the top 4 all starting on soft tyres, both the McLarens, Bottas and Kvyat. Of course they keep squabbling. This has just allowed me, Vettel, to keep right to the back of now on medium tyres. So we're going longer on this first stint. And if we can keep with them, that's going to play to our advantage loads later on in the race. Now cutting a bit further onto that lap now, we've got Bottas now really starting to hold up a whole queue of cars now. And we've got Will Stevens as the leader of the McLarens now to try and chase down Valtteri Bottas, to try and take P2 away from the fin. Now Stevens gaining in the slow street, now he's going to pull to the inside. Valtteri Bottas now coming down to turn 1 with the help of DRS, and has Stevens made the move stick up the inside. Can't quite tell from his camera and going to Stevens here. Has made the move stick on Valtteri Bottas, and now Will Stevens moves up into P2 in this race. Stevens really has just come alive in his past few races. Imagine under pressure to keep his McLaren seat for next season, but currently being in P2, beating your teammate Rio Haryanto, that's definitely something to try and advertise yourself to stay at McLaren for next season. Now we're getting round to back now of Sebastian Vettel. Plus, the more Stevens and Bottas hold each other up, the more this is going to allow us to catch onto the back of Sebastian Vettel, whilst all the time keeping ahead there of Lewis Hamilton. So we really are using our straight line speed advantage to our advantage to keep ahead there of Lewis Hamilton and anyone else on the soft tyres behind. Now we get very close there to the back of Sebastian Vettel's rear diffuser. Thankfully don't make contact with the back of Vettel, much like Vettel and Hamilton at Baku in the real life Grand Prix. Now trying to keep, once again, Vettel just gets such a better exit on us out of the slow speed corners. That's something that Williams really need to work on for next season, especially for our car. Especially we need a lot more rear downforce on the car. We've seen the straight line speed is great, it's all good having straight line speed, but if you haven't got the downforce to go with it, as seen here, everyone just pulls away from us, then it's just no use having a low straight line speed. We're talking straight line speed now, getting in right in the station now on the back of Sebastian Vettel, trying to make a move to the inside of Sebastian Vettel, now coming into 130 yards side by side with the 5-time world champion. I made a move there up the inside of Sebastian Vettel. Vettel has to worry about defending from his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Of course, Hamilton there on the soft tyres. Maybe there may be some team orders there from Ferrari for Vettel to let Hamilton go, because there's no point Vettel holding up Hamilton when Hamilton's on a completely different strategy to the German. Now looking back up front, Bottas has managed to re-overtake Will Stevens. Now coming down to turn 1, because Stevens may try and re-overtake Bottas once again. Coming down to turn 1, he's just not quite close enough. Now Bottas there keeps it back up into P2. with Stevens in P3, Haryanto P4. And now we can try and chase down once again Max Verstappen in the Toro Rosso. Now keep his side up the S8, run out wide there. Give me a understeer, and Vettel's going to drive right back round our outside. So once again, Vettel trying to park you right on the apex. They was brake checking us there. Almost did hit into the back of him there. And now Vettel gets it back up ahead of us now, cutting a bit further on. We're trying to rotate to the outside of Sebastian Vettel once again, round the outside of 130. We give you right around the outside, side by side through 130 with Sebastian Vettel. Vettel gets back with him, we're going to dive it back up the inside there. Get a switchback there to the inside line. Now keep it side by side with Sebastian Vettel, but Vettel just keeps it ahead of us there through the final chicane and keeps ahead of us for a bit longer. Now as Hamilton there comes into the pits for his first stop, imagine this might be the time for all the soft tire starters to come in for their first stop. Now getting station back to Sebastian Vettel, I'm going to pull to the inside. Well, Sebastian Vettel, we just think better of it, just a bit too far behind there, and we have to stay behind Sebastian Vettel for a bit longer. Now cutting all the way midway through lap 8, now coming up into P4. Now we should be time for us to come in for our pit stop. At the end of this lap, as we get purple there through the second section, that's not a surprise with the straight line speed and the solution we're getting off the back of Sebastian Vettel. Now coming up into the hairpin, we're just not close enough once again to make a move on the back of the German. We should be coming for our pit stop at the end of this lap. Indeed we do come into the pits and weigh me there. Also starting on the set of medium tyres, has to do another lap as to not to stack behind us. Now coming in now for our first stop, we're actually going on to a set of hard tyres there, the orangey brown wall tyres. I've seen also Vettel there on going on a set of medium tyres as well. And what's Valtteri Bottas gone to? Bottas also on a set of medium tyres as well. And then Jean-Nic Verne also on a set of medium tyres. So we're going to conscious strategy to everyone else around us here. My thinking is, if we can just get the hard tyre out of the way here, and then we can be faster towards the end of the race, and really have the tyre advantage when everyone else goes on to a set of hard tyres at the end of the race. Now Fernando Alonso and Daniel Kvyat, was that? In the Red Bull have come out behind us. So we managed to get an overcut there on Fernando Alonso. Of course, we were ahead of Alonso in the first place. But Daniel Kvyat is also behind us now as well. So what's happened to Daniel Kvyat? Because he was leading the Grand Prix, but now he's currently down in what is P9. Or be it P8 when he makes his pit stop. So something really hasn't worked there for Daniel Kvyat. Now coming a bit further on, but Lewis Hamilton being battled now with one of the McLarens. They're coming up into the final chicane. It's really high onto there. There's actually on a set of hard tyres as well. So now, he's doing a straight line speed in that McLaren to actually Will Stevens there on the hard tyres. And that's against Stevens gaining the position out on the back of the Ferrari. He's close to try and make a move on the back. Well, the Ferrari coming down your tailwind, gaining in the position, can pull to the inside now. He can try and make a move up the inside. Stevens, the Ferrari was completely wide there off the track, but keeping it side by side with Will Stevens. Stevens holding up the inside because the Ferrari there also sent a set of medium tyres. Now Kvyat try and hold it up the inside. Will Stevens is going to keep his nose in there right around the outside. It's going to turn to the outside now. If he can hold it up the inside outside here, but once again he just gets squeezed out, much like Valtteri Bottas did. It doesn't get as bad as Rexy though, as what Valtteri Bottas did. And now Stevens has to receive that position once again. Back to Sebastian Vettel. Now we're right up behind now our fellow Brits in the McLaren for what will be P4 in this race. So Stevens, it seems so far he hasn't managed to hold on to positions all too well, apart from Canada in his first race for McLaren. So he seems to be doing pretty well in this race, beating Rio Haryanto, I think. And now we're still ahead of Fernando Alonso midway through lap 10. So once again, using our straight line speed advantage, pretty much our saving grace to keep us ahead of the other cars. And now can Stevens once again just gets Stevens good at McLaren. It's all good on the downforce side, it's just lacking engine power in a straight line. Now if we go defensive there slightly to the inside from Fernando Alonso, because we get a terrible exit. Alonso there on grippier tyres, so his best race is just going to be completely amplified by that. Now coming through spin once again. They're right behind the back now of Will Stevens. This should be an easy move if we can get in the solution now on the back of the McLaren. Are gaining right in the solution now on the back of Will Stevens, which are going to go to the outside once again of Will Stevens. Are coming to 130 and we clear him even before 130, almost like Nico Hülkenberg at the start of the Grand Prix. Now we can try and chase down Sebastian Vettel once again. Now Stevens has to worry about defending from Fernando Alonso. Of course, McLaren's team that Fernando Alonso left last season, so that's the extra incentive there for Will Stevens to try and keep ahead of Fernando Alonso. Now Stevens gaining in the switch. Of course, he'll have DRS off the back of us. Now Stevens actually is gaining us. He's actually closing the gap there visually down the straight. But coming into turn one, there just isn't enough straight for Will Stevens to do anything about it. And Stevens has to settle in behind us now. Surely his attention will now have to turn to defending from Fernando Alonso in the Mercedes. Now currently up into P4 now, chasing down Sebastian Vettel for a podium position. You actually see there, we're actually gaining on the back. Now then gaining around the back, we're actually catching Sebastian Vettel, albeit in a straight line through sector 1. That's really not a surprise. Vettel there on medium tyres and us on hard tyres, and if we're able to keep up with the back of Sebastian Vettel, that could really help us later on in the stint when we're on instead of medium tyres at the end of the race. Now cutting a bit further on, Sebastian Vettel caught right onto the back now of Valtteri Bottas. Of course, both of these on medium tyres, so this is going to be pure straight line speed, pure car advantage who gets in front here. Now Vettel will have DRS now on the back of Valtteri Bottas, but is Bottas going up straight speed in the back of Ferrari? No, he hasn't. Bottas going to pull to the inside of Valtteri Bottas. He made a move up the inside of Valtteri Bottas. He does, but Vettel there runs out wide. We're going to hurry back around the outside. Vettel just about managed to get back on track there in front of Valtteri Bottas to move up now into what I think will be P2 in this race. It is now demoting Bottas there down to P3. Now we're chasing down a podium position on hard tyres, and Stevens there still keeping it in front there of Fernando Alonso. So McLaren must have that Honda engine turned up to the max to try and keep ahead there of the works Mercedes of Fernando Alonso. Of course, the more Bottas and Vettel battle, the more this is going to help us further on. Now looking a bit further on, we've got Fernando Alonso trying to make a move up the inside of Will Stevens and makes a mistake himself. Stevens there trying to dive it back up the inside, but he just hasn't got enough in the inside. And now Stevens will have DRS if he can keep close enough through the chicane, right up behind the rear diffuser there of Fernando Alonso. So Will Stevens will have DRS now to try and overtake Fernando Alonso once again if he can go and get insulation now. Stevens gaining insulation now. Unlike Fernando's going to pull to the inside of Fernando Alonso. Go on, Stevens! Go to the inside there, Fernando Alonso coming down into tail 1. Can Stevens make a move on the inside? He runs out a bit wide there, but it's just got to move in front of and Stevens there moves back ahead of Fernando Alonso. This was me infuriating Fernando Alonso. Of course, he left McLaren thinking they wouldn't be championship contenders this season, and indeed they aren't. But if they can beat Fernando Alonso here, but they couldn't beat Fernando Alonso trying to get back up the inside there. Off Will Stevens. Stevens there runs out wide. They doesn't get a good exit they did last time to try and keep it with Fernando Alonso. Now it's got Sebastian Buemi and one of the Red Bulls for company as well right behind. Now it's Valtteri Bottas once again getting back in this issue now on the back of Sebastian Vettel. Can Bottas try and get it back inside? Sebastian Vettel's going to pull to the inside. He breezes past the Ferrari like it's not even there, and Bottas tries to run the outside but runs out wide. Sebastian Vettel, there's contact between the two of them. Vettel tries to keep Snow there up the inside, forces Bottas out wide, much like Bottas and Kvyat did at the start of the Grand Prix. Now Vettel trying to hold it right around the outside of Valtteri Bottas, and he gets it back in there, and Bottas has to slot back down into P3. But this is from Bottas, first time really we've seen him put up a real fight, honestly, since Britain, where he scored a podium finish there for Mercedes. Bottas just really hasn't had the fight in him this season. With this race, something about Japan, probably trying to claim some redemption for what happened last season, of course, where honestly you can say the contact between me and Bottas in that race effectively lost Bottas the championship, if you work it out on the points, because Bottas would have beat Sebastian Vettel, or if it wasn't for that contact, you'd say, between me and the Finn last season. Now coming to braking, we do gain, but Bottas there looks like he's actually losing a bit of time now to the back of Sebastian Vettel, so maybe Bottas has a bit of damage or something from that contact with Sebastian Vettel. I mean, it's unlikely, because assuming Vettel hit the side pod of his car, so maybe he does have some sort of radiator damage or something from the contact. Maybe it's possible, so maybe just having to slow Bottas down a bit so his car doesn't overheat and completely blow up with only 10 laps of race left to go. Bottas there in a podium position, and with Sebastian Buemi, I just noticed has now got up into 5th place behind us, so Buemi getting past Stevens and Alonso. They're using his straight line speed to his advantage there to get past both of them, I'd imagine. Now actually coming to the pits at the end of this lap, switching up our strategy here. You see, this is the time for all the medium runners to pit. We've seen that we've kept up with them on a harder compound. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to follow them in to go onto another set of hard tyres, because if I keep up with them and when they're on medium tyres, now if we're all on the same tyre, I seem to have an easy pace advantage here. The hard tyres just seem to work for me on this Williams, so we've got me for another set of hard tyres there. Switch up strategy now, we're doing the same strategy as everyone else, so we've got medium, hard in this race. And you see, we kept with everyone there on the medium tyres, and now that we're all on the same compound, we should have an easy pace advantage to try and get past Valtteri Bottas and then Sebastian Vettel and try and chase down whoever is in the lead of the Grand Prix. Now coming out of the pit lane, there's absolutely no one around us. If Fernando Alonso there is still behind us. Alonso there stopping a lap before once again, and Fernando Alonso there is absolutely nowhere near us. So now we can try and chase down Sebastian Vettel, but first we have to try and get past Valtteri Bottas to get up into what will currently be P6. But once everyone makes their final stops, this is for a fight for a podium position, try and get P3 in this Japanese Grand Prix. Coming up through this S section once again, we're not running out wide like we did on the back when we're trying to chase down Max Verstappen. Although this, like I said, the previous races before, this Williams is built to run at the front, so in the dirty air it likes it even less than what he did last season. I'm cutting a bit further on, we're still trying again now on the back of Valtteri Bottas. Now we should have DRS now on the back of the Finn now coming in into tail 1 now. The question is, are we close enough? We know we have the straight line speed advantage over Valtteri Bottas, but are we close enough? I don't think we're going to be quite close enough this time to try and make a move, although we have seen some insane closing speeds with this Williams so far since we've been at the team. Coming down his tail, I'm close to fake move there to the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Try and make a move up the inside. Bottas leaves the door open. We just can't make the most of it. I have to steer behind Valtteri Bottas for a bit longer in P4. Now coming up the S section, just to steer behind Valtteri Bottas. There's nowhere here, unless he's side by side coming into the S section. There's nowhere really you can make a move through here. or I'll just have to stay behind the fin for a bit longer. You see Vettel there, pulling off into the distance. Now on this final stint, Bottas on the hard tyres, it seems Bottas just can't get the pace out of that Mercedes there on the hard tyres. Now we've got Fernando Alonso now up to P5. We got purple there through the first sector, and try and force Bottas into mistake now, because they seem to really have the pace over Valtteri Bottas now. But where Bottas has the pace over us is out the exit of this hairpin, annoyingly, to try and once again just get a wheel on the grass there. So lucky not to spin out and just slide into the back there, Valtteri Bottas. Once again, Bottas doesn't get a better exit there out the hairpin, as does everyone else when we're in a traction zone. Even the Manners get better exits than me. So now we just have to reel back in Valtteri Bottas now, coming up into the spoon now. We run out a bit wide there and getting a bit dirty, a bit of turbulence on the front of our car there, just really using a lot of front downforce there. And this Williams isn't got a lot of downforce already, as you know, to give us some these insane straight line speeds. Now gaining in a straight line speed, coming up to over 200 miles an hour, coming into 130. We're just not close enough. T5 Bottas trying to make a move now, gaining in a station once again. Now coming under braking now for the chicane. Of course, this is where Prost and Senna made contact back in 1989. And now trying to keep it around the outside. Now trying now in the station now. Valtteri Bottas once again, now we have DRS, and we're loads closer to the back. Valtteri Bottas this time, so should be close enough to try and make a move on the back of the fin this time. Gaining in station, going to pull to the inside of Valtteri Bottas now coming down this turn where we easy breeze past Valtteri Bottas even before we get to turn 1. Bottas there gets a poor exit there through turn 1, and now we move up into P3. And now we can try and chase down Sebastian Vettel for what will be P2. And then whoever is in the lead of the Grand Prix. Look, a bit further on, it's actually Jean-Eric Verne. So Verne is having a pretty quiet race, got there in the lead. Then we've got Sebastian Vettel there in P2. Then ourselves in P3, with Valtteri Bottas in 4th, and we've got a three-way fight, 3 wide here, going to 130 between Stevens, Alonso and Kvyat. Stevens just gets squeezed out there by Daniel Kvyat, so Kvyat now gets up to P5. There's a game of now Stevens is going to keep it side by side now, coming up. If she changes the contact between two of them, no, they just avoid contact there. Now Stevens is trying to keep it right around the outside now, Daniel Kvyat on the final corner, so you got the traction there on Daniel Kvyat. Now Kvyat kind of pointing his into the wall, Daniel Kvyat is Sebastian pointing into the wall, and they've lost the front wings, and so is Lewis Hamilton as well. Contact there between the two main championship rivals, have taken each other out. Now there's some VSC deployed, no surprise there's loads of debris there all over the track now. And what happened there? It looks like Buemi just took out Daniel Kvyat. I mean, we know we want to win the championship, but that's not the way we want to win it. We're taking a look at a replay of what actually happened there. So Daniel Kvyat getting a double toe there behind Fernando Alonso, behind Will Stevens. They make it 3 wide coming up into 130 on. Alonso just has to back out of it there. So Daniel Kvyat trying to make it to the inside, gets compromised line there, runs out a bit tight. Now it gives Will Stevens the advantage there to try and keep his nose up the inside, gets the momentum there to keep it up the inside of Daniel Kvyat. Now keep it side by side. Stevens holds it around the outside, which then turns to the inside. Daniel Kvyat just gets forced out wide there. And there's contact with Sebastian Buemi, but he just hits into the rear of him and then slides back out into the front there of Lewis Hamilton. And now taking a little replay of it there from Sebastian Vettel, from Sebastian Buemi's perspective. See there, just falling behind there. And if we slow it down here, you can see that Buemi is taking. Do you see there? Daniel Kvyat's steering wheel is pointing straight, if not to a bit left. And Sebastian Buemi is just turning left around a right-hander into the back there of Daniel Kvyat. And then there's just contact made. Daniel Kvyat gets spun round, and of course the contact just unsettles Sebastian Buemi's car as well. And then they both end up in the walls, and Buemi just rebounds into the path there of Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. So Hamilton, a complete instant partner. Couldn't be filming an engine failure for someone there up in front, but now this is Sebastian Buemi and Daniel Kvyat trying to, the wingless two cars now, trying to get their way back round to the pits. And see they go through this mode there. One of the Haas's, the Haas once again, another BMW engine failure for a Haas car in this season. And they've got Max Verstappen in the Toronto now, trying to gain right behind the back now. He's going to catch him now at the worst possible point, coming up through 130. Honestly, remember back to last season when we had half a front wing in the Williams, just how undrivable that car was. Nice to see how Daniel Kvyat, Sebastian Buemi did, coming up with 130R. They take it very slowly there. Now this is really going to hold a Verstappen now. Verstappen now right onto the back now of Daniel Kvyat. They're coming up through this final chicane. It looks like Verstappen's there, going to have to stay behind Daniel Kvyat and Sebastian Buemi. Mr. Vettel there gets held up there. Does Max Verstappen through the final corner? No, we've got Adrian Sutil in the Sauber. Now getting in the station right in the back now of Max Verstappen. Getting in the station now, going to try and make a move to the inside of Max Verstappen. So to try and make a move up the inside there for Verstappen there with the DRS just enough there to keep Max Verstappen ahead there of Adrian Sutil. But Sutil really outperforming that Sauber so far in this race. I mean, the Saubers have a pretty decent qualifying to not be on the back row of the grid. And as Sutil, we're doing a good job there to try and maybe even be on the fringe of points now. Continue a bit further on. But Sebastian Buemi now has kept it ahead with Daniel Kvyat there in the pits. Now our teammate trying to catch right onto the back now of one of the Renaults. So this should be an easy move Force Sebastian Buemi come down the straight, of course, with DRS and just pure stationary as well. But now Buemi's coming to the pits once again. Buemi got a drive through, he got a stop go for that contact with Danica Kvyat. He's going to his pit box. Has he got a stop go penalty? Like, no, the team are changing his tyres once again. So Buemi must have some sort of slow puncture or something. That's coming to the pits once again. And that's going to drop Buemi right down to the back of the field. Surely he might not even be a lap down at this rate. It's surely not going to be far off a lap down if he isn't already. And now Buemi's going to come out into the track now in what will be dead last. Now cutting all the way onto the end of the final lap. We're catching up to the back of Sebastian Vettel, but I don't think we're going to catch Sebastian Vettel there by enough. We've got one straight left to go, and Vettel there just looks to be too far in front. We pulled away from Valtteri Bottas, who's in a he's now in a world of his own there. In P4, we've just come around final corner, coming up to 130 now for the final time. And we've got Sebastian Vettel there in P2, pretty much just holding on their 2-second position, much like he did back at the start of this deja vu to the start of the season. This is how Bahrain should have finished. And Johnny Van's going to come to the line, and Van's going to win the Japanese Grand Prix and just keeps Red Bull's slim championship hopes for the constructors table alive for just a little bit longer, as we have to settle for P3 with Sebastian Vettel in second. And now there you can see Christian Horner looking very happy there with Jean-Yves Verne, with that race victory for Jean-Yves Verne. I mean, why wouldn't he? And I can see Jean-Yves Verne there in the winner's spot, and takes his 3rd career victory, and was also his 3rd victory of this season. And you see, if Red Bull can just get their act together, you're seeing they really do have the measure over us, over Williams. It just seems the bad results just really have ruined their championship chances this season. Taking a look at the race results, Jean-Yves Verne would take a victory. 1.5 seconds clear Sebastian Vettel, who's chasing him down in second, and we were round off the podium in 3rd in the Williams. Valtteri Bottas would have one of his better results this season, albeit still dropping down from his grid spot to come home in 4th for Mercedes, with Will Stevens in 5th for McLaren, 6 seconds clear of his teammate Rio Haryanto. So Stevens really picking up his pace in this race. Despite dropping down to P5, time for P3, it's still good points all there for McLaren. Carlos Sainz will come home in 7th in the Toro Rosso, with Fernando Alonso dropping down to 8th in the Mercedes. So Alonso must have had some kind of car issue. Seeing how easily Stevens and Kvyat were catching him, and then we get passed by Carlos Sainz, and Verstappen drops down to 9th. So once again, Sainz starting way down the order there in 14th, and still makes G Verstappen started in 6th. Alex Rossi comes home in 10th in Haas for the Haas, so that must have been Grosjean there he saw with the engine failure towards the end of the race. And Adrian Sutil in the Sauber will get 2 points there, 2 valuable points there for the team as they try and hunt down Manor in the final few races of the season. And Esteban Ocon rounds off the point scorers in 12th for Force India. Moving on to the driver standings, and now we have a 20-point lead over Sebastian Buemi, so we've got a race win in hand now over our teammate Sebastian Buemi, thanks to him taking out Danica Kvyat in this race. And now Kvyat actually drops onto P4, so Verne moves up into P3 now, 4 points clear of his teammate Danica Kvyat, with Fernando Alonso in P5 on 127 points. Sebastian Vettel now moves up into 6th on 107 points now, and moves 12 points clear of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas remains in 8th with 79 points, now only 6 points clear of Rio Haryanto in the McLaren, who's on 73. Sergio Perez remains in 10th on 45 points, and Daniel Ricciardo remains in 11th on 40 points, and Max Verstappen now moves up into 12th, also on 40 points, but by virtue of better results with that race victory over Verstappen's 2nd place at Spain, Daniel Ricciardo remains in 11th. Now moving on to the constructors standings, and now Williams have an 86-point lead over Red Bull, with Mercedes in 3rd, further 80 points behind Red Bull. Ferrari in 4th now on exactly 200 points, with McLaren in 5th, 95 points behind the Scuderia. Force India remaining 6th on 82, and Taurus now jump ahead there of Haas on 80 points to Haas with 77. So it really looks like a 3-way fight there between Force India, Toro Rosso and Haas for 6th place in the constructors, with Renault in a world of their own in 9th on 53 points, Manor in 10th on 12, and Sauber in 11th. So my driver of the day for this race Honestly, I'd have to say Will Stevens. I mean, Stevens really hasn't had the best of seasons ever since he's first dropped off, really, after his first few races there at McLaren, really after Baku. We've seen there's really picking his pace in this race. Put up a great fight there to Fernando Alonso, holding off Daniel Kvyat as well. So yeah, my driver of the day vote would definitely go to Will Stevens for this race. So that's been the Japanese Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, and vote for your driver of the day with the poll link that will be in the video in the top line of the video description. And thanks for watching. See you all next time.